Good morning, students. This is Dr. Nilofer Kauri from Government Girls College, Bikaner, and this is our next lecture on the bard, the poem, which is a Pindaric ode by Thomas Gray. In the first part of the poem, we have seen that how the bard, the last surviving Welsh bard, how he curses Edward the First for killing or massacre doing massacre of all the poets, all the bards of the country. So he is now, we have discussed in the introductory part that he is going to prophesize now. So here is the prophecy in the second stanza. Weep the warp and weave the woof, the winding sheet of Edward's race. Weep the warp and weave the woof. Warp and woof, like what we call tana bana of a cloth. Okay, the lengthwise and the lengthwise threads which are crossed by the weft. So weave the warp and weave the woof. So let the warp and the woof be woven together. The winding sheet of Edward's race, of the sheet, winding sheet here, it means the shroud or the last cloth, the last garment, the ultimate garment, which is going to be a part of everyone's life, which everyone is going to wear one day. That is the shroud. So let the winding sheet of start weave and woofing, or let the warp and woof be woven together, and let the destiny of Edward's race, Edward's descendant, Edward's succeeders, prepare a shroud for Edward's succeeders. Give ample room and verge enough the characters of hell to trace. So give ample room, give sufficient space, and verge enough, and leave enough or sufficient urge or sufficient verge is the we can say the bring, the edge, or the border. So let the characters of hail to dress. So let there be ample space, let there be sufficient space for the successors of Edward I, who are going to be the characters of hell, who are going to be the there should be sufficient space and adequate margin for like the characters of hail to trace, to portray. Now he is talking about a tapestry. Tapestry is a cloth which has paintings over it. So he wants a cloth to design the destiny of Edward's race, and this cloth is going to carry the features or figures of the characters of hell. All the people who are related to Edward I are going to move into the hell. They are the characters of hell, they are the movers of hell. So let there be sufficient place, let there be enough place, enough border for the characters of hell to dress on this tapestry or on this cloth of destiny. So let the doom which is to overtake his successors be foretold. So he wants to portray a cloth, he wants to draw a cloth, a tapestry featuring the destiny of Edward's race, Edward's successor. So let there be enough space to these characters of hail to be marked. Okay. Mark the year and mark the night. Mark the year and mark the night. So mark the date. Now because he is prophesying, because he is foretelling the future, the fortune which is going to happen, what is going to happen with the succeeders of Edward I. So mark the year and mark the night. So mark the date when it is going to happen. When Severn shall re-echo with affright. So this tapestry which is going to weave, so let the web show the year and night when the King Edward II, here it is the mention of King Edward II, he is going to be murdered, he is going to be killed, when Severn shall re-echo with affright. Severn is the river. So the river Severn, it's going to re-echo with affright, re-echo with the shrieking sounds or the terrifying sounds, the shrieks of death. the sounds of death, the cries of death. Through Berkeley's roofs that ring, shrieks of an agonizing king. So, in Berkeley's castle, King Edward will be murdered, and when the roof of the castle will ring, and with the shrieks of that dying king, who is actually dying in agony, dying in pain, and while the river Severn will echo these shrieks with fear. Okay, so he is prophesying the death of King Edward II. So here are the difficult words: warp and woof, then winding sheet, that is known as shroud, verge, border, agonizing, going through agony. And what is important in this paragraph? So in line 40, with the line 49, here begins the song of the chorus. Chorus of the ghost. And then in line 52, characters of hell, the ghosts are to picture on the tapestry which they are weaving in their imagination. So this is just the imagination of the ghost, and we can say rather this is the imagination of Thomas Gray, who is going to create a picture before his readers. Mark the year, King Edward II was cruelly butchered in King Berkeley's castle on 21st September 1927. So when he begins the prophecy, it begins with particulars and grows less precise as it deals with events more distant in time, because he was not sure of the deaths, or he was not sure of the events which happened further. So in near future, the prophecies are very accurate or very precise, and as it grows less and it goes less precise, and it deals with the events of future. Okay, now the next part. Now the second stanza of the second part, where he begins. Sorry, this is the first stanza only of the second part. It's continuation. She wolf of France with unrelenting fangs that teareth the bowels of thy mangled mate. Now, she wolf of France, or Isabel of France, she was the adulterous wife of Edward II, and she is actually mentioned, or she is actually known as the cruelest queen in the history of England. So, because of her cruel pangs, because of her cruel strategy, she is known as She Wolf of France. She is actually Isabella of France, and she is, said to plan that she has planned the murder of her own husband. And her son Edward III, who was supposed to be the king after his father was also killed, was also murdered, and she's responsible for so many things that happened in the life of Edward II. So she wolf of France, with unrelenting fangs. Unrelenting fangs, here we can see merciless teeth. Fangs, she's a wolf who carries merciless teeth that tearest the bowels of the mangled mate. And she tearest, what does she tear? So she, with the savagery of a wolf, uses her merciless teeth to tear apart the inside of her murdered husband's body. Even the inner parts of the body of her husband are going to be torn into pieces with her merciless strategies, with her merciless pangs. From thee be born, who over thy country hangs the scourge of heaven. From thee be born, and you will be the responsible for the birth. She will be mother of birth of a man who is going to be King Edward III, who over thy country hangs the scourge of heaven. So Edward III, who will invade her own native country. So thy country hangs, who is going to going to attack or invade her native country France, because she is Isabella of France, and commit scourge of heaven. Scourge here means instrument of punishment, means he is going to create hell into the heaven. So he will commit barbarities there, as if here he were an instrument of the wrath of heaven, cruelty of the heaven. What terrors round him wait, but He will be the center of many terrors, numerous terrors. See what terrors. So because they are prophesizing and they are weaving a painting into their imagination over a tapestry, now they are painting the death of King Edward III. What errors round him wait? See what is waiting for him. What terrors are waiting for him? Amazement in his vein in front of him. Uh, he will go amazing scenes that would be full of panic. Okay, with flight combined, panic and flight will be combination of the scenes which are going to be in front of him, and sorrows faded form and solitude behind, and while behind he will leave misery looking disconsolate and desolation. So in other words, King Edward III will cause widespread destruction and havoc in France, and many dreadful acts will be committed by him in the country to which his mother Isabella belonged. So he will be responsible for many many faces who are going to look, miserable faces, disconsolate and desolated faces. So these are the difficult words, and this is about the important thing is about she Wolf of France, Isabella of France, Edward II Saddle's wife. She's believed to have instigated his murder and formed a connection with Roger Mortimer or Earl of March, who is there into the war with King Edward I. Okay, now the next stanza of the second part. Mighty victor, mighty lord, low on his funeral couch lies, no beating heart, no eye effort, a tear to grace his obsequies. Now Edward III, who will prove himself a mighty conqueror and a mighty ruler, but low in his funeral couch lies. He is going to be found on the deathbed, on his deathbed. He would be like a humble figure on his deathbed who was very cruel into his life, but he too is going to die, and nobody will feel pity for him, and no one will shed a tear of grief. So he is also going to lie on his deathbed, and nobody feel any pity for him, and no one will shed a tear of grief to lend any grace to his funeral ceremonies. A tear to grace his obsequies. Obsequies are the funeral processions. Is the sable warrior fled? So his sable warrior, his son, King, who is known as the Black Prince, will have died earlier than he, and will be lying in the graveyard with other dead persons. So Edward III, whose son, who is known as the Black Prince. Why he's known as the Black Prince? Because he was famous for the black dress he always wore when he was used to fight. So thy son is gone, your son is also dead. He rests among the dead, and he's gone, he rests among the dead. The swarm that in thy noontide beam were born, gone to salute the rising morn. And the swarm, the crowd, where is the crowd of Edward III's followers who used to gather around him in his days of prosperity? They will all have gone to pay their homage to the new king, who is Richard II. Okay, the morning will be bright and grey. For fair laughs the morn. These are the okay. There's what's important in line 64: the death of the king, that king abandoned by his children and even robbed in his last moments by his courtiers and his mistress Elizabeth. And the Black Prince Edward of Woodstock, who is known to the history of the Black Prince. The title of Black Prince developed after his death and may refer to the black armor that he wore. Excuse me. The text of the second part of the second stanza. Fair laughs the morn and soft the zephyr blows, while proudly riding over the azure rain, in gallant trim the gilded vessel goes, youth on the prow and pleasure at the helm, regardless of the sweeping whirlwind sway that hushed in grim repose expects his evening prey. So the morning will be bright and gay. Fair laughs the morn. The morning will be cheerful. It will be bright, grey, and a gentle breeze. Zephyr, the gentle breeze, will be blowing while proudly riding over the azure realm. So, riding over the azure realm, the beautiful decorated ships which are proudly riding over the blue ocean in gallant trim, in with a proud and with a gallantry into them. Uh, in a good order, trimmed. They would be in good order. The gilded vessel goes, the decorated vessels, the decorated ships goes. Youth on the prows and youth on the and youth at the forepart and pleasure at the steering wheel. So the ship is compared to a man who is young and who has cheerful appearance and who have pleasures into his heart, and pleasures at the helm. In the helm is the wearing steel, and regardless of sweeping whirlwind sway, and regardless, still unaware of the storm which holds, unaware of the storms which holds, excuse me, yeah, unaware of the storm which holds dominion over the sea and which waits silently and calmly for the evening when it will blow with all its fury and wreck the ship. So idea here is being expressed in very figurative language. The embellished ship, the decorated ship with youth at the forepart and pleasure at the helm, represents the prosperous years and which are full of youthful pleasures of the reign of Richard II, who was ultimately starved to the death. Okay, he also is going to die. Line 71 to 75, there is a description of the magnificence of Richard III's reign. The image used is that of a ship sailing proudly over the sea in fine weather. And line 76, there is an image of the whirlwind compared to a lion that lies in ambush. So there are some difficult words also. Okay, so the third part of the second stanza: fill high the sparkling bowl. Sorry, extremely sorry. Okay. Fill high the sparkling bowl, the rich repast prepare, reft of a crown, he yet may share the feast. So fill high the sparkling bowl, let the bowl be filled to the brim with sparkling wine. The rich repast prepare, and let a rich banquet be prepared, be arranged, even though reft of a crown, he yet may share the feast. So even though bereaved of the crown, deprived of the crown, Richard II has been of his crown, he may yet partake of the feast of a food. Close by the regal chair, close to the king's chair, cruel thirst and hunger, felt thirst and famine scolds, cruel thirst and famine scold and hunger frown, a baleful smile upon their baffled gaze, a malicious smile upon their perplexed guest. Heard ye the din of battle bray, the loud sounds of the battle can already be heard. Lance to lance and horse to horse, where lances are being heard and warriors riding horses are attacking one another. So there is a reference of King Richard II, who has been bereaved of his crown. He may yet partake of a feast and close to king's chair, and whose cruel thirst and hunger frowned with and having a malicious smile upon their guest, and we can hear the sounds of the battle which is going to fight. Long years of havoc urge their destined course, and through the kindred squadrons mow their way, and the Tower of London. So let the bowl be filled, and long years of havoc, which long year of war which is going to happen. So in line number 77 to 82, Richard II was starved to death. A story of his death assassination is of much later date. The din of battle is reference to the ruinous civil wars of York and Lancaster, and bray, the term is used by Pope in Dunciad. Sir Richard Blackmore delighted much in the word bray, which he endeavoured to ennoble by applying it to the sounds of armor. Okay, now the next part. Long years of havoc urged their destined course, and through the kindred squadrons move their way, ye towers of Julius, London's lasting shame, with many a foul and midnight murder fed, revere reverie the concert's fate, his father's fame, and spare the meek usurper's holy head. So, a destructive war which lasting many years will be fought and which will follow the course fixed on it by destiny. Large numbers of soldiers belonging to the same brotherhood will fight on opposite sides and cut down one another. The Tower of London, which is believed to be built by Julius Caesar, will become the scene of shameful happenings which will long be remembered. Many foul murders will be committed there in the middle of the night to feed the prison house. Let the Tower of London show due regard for the devotion of Margaret of Anjou to her husband Henry VI. Let due regard be shown as also for the fame of Henry VI's father Henry V, and let therefore the holy head of the weak King Henry VI be saved, even though he is regarded as having no right to throne. So Margaret of Anjou, she is the wife of Henry VI. So means they are going to be murdered one after another. In this Tower of London, which is a famous prison house in London and which is famous, and many murder took place in that part of the prison. Okay, so these all kings, Henry VI, Duke of Clarence, Edward V, rich Duke of York, they all were all Richard Duke of York, they were all murdered in Tower of London. And this last part of this text, second stanza, second part, above, below, the rose of snow, twinned with her blushing foe, we spread the Bristol bow, infant gore, wallows beneath the thorny shade. Now, brothers, bending over the accursed loom, stamp we over vengeance deep and ratify his doom. We, the Welsh bards, spread the white rose and its enemy, the red rose, on the loom, and we predict a proposal for the marriage of the Lancastrian Henry VII with the Yorkish Elizabeth, who is the sister of Edward V, uniting the opponents of Richard III and leading to his defeat at Bosworth. Richard III, whose badge was a silver boar with Bristol here, will take pleasure in murder of infant princes in Tower. Now, my fellow poets and I, bending over this loom, which is record of our curses, imprint our revengeful prophecies deeply on it, and we confirm that woeful fate which Edward first is to meet. So we try to make opponents our friends, but you people do not do that, and ultimately you all are going to die. So these are the symbols. White and red roses were the symbols of York and Lancaster, and silver boar was the badge of Richard III, when he was usually known in his time by the name of the boar. So that's all for this part. We'll be continuing to the next part. Thank you very much. It's time for a coffee. Bye bye.